Peace. What's good? After Elemental.
This is D Chorus.
This is Mubdi. Welcome to Through Our Lens.
Okay.
What are we talking about today, y'all? What's up?
We're talking about what's on everybody's mind is money.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Let's talk about that.
Hate that.
Money, it's like when you don't have it, you want it, and when you have it, you want to flaunt it. But it's about not what you cop, but it's also what you keep. So it's about taking money and doing wise things with your money.
Talk about that a little more. What you cop, what you keep. What is that concept behind that?
Meaning that it's you can have a great income, but if you have a lifestyle that exceeds the income that you have, then is you're not retaining anything. You're just spending it and throwing it away.
So it's coming in and it's going.
It's going out. So if you make $500,000 and you spend $1 million, you're still broke.
Oh.
Well, you're in debt.
You're in debt.
Yeah.
So it's just getting out of debt and living not only to say a frugal life, but a healthy life, and doing things good with your money instead of just spending it on things that would better you instead of just things that will not benefit you at all. Like if you keep on buying stuff that keeps on depreciating in value, then your money is receding instead of profiting. So you have to buy things that's going to appreciate in value, like assets, real estate, bonds, or you want to get something that's going to be passed on for generations so you can grow wealth. And we talk about generational wealth.
Talk about some things that might depreciate for people going to understand what depreciation is and
appreciation
things that lose value.
Well, for one thing, you can have cars, but if you're not buying like a classic car, or if you're not maintaining your car, or even like fashion, sometimes they depreciate. You can buy that hot new jacket that's everybody's. It's a trend that's happening right now, but everybody's happening. Yeah. But it's like an 8-ball jacket. You know what I'm saying?
It's played out.
You spend like $500, $1,000 on an 8-ball jacket, but next season is out of style.
Yeah. I remember it was True Religions as far as the pants, Mary's. I remember my son came and asked me, "Hey, I want you to charge something for me." So I was like, "All right, let me get the money later on." And when I looked the pants up at Mary's, they was $1,000. So I was like, "Yo, you gonna give me?" He said, "Now I'm gonna pay you back in pieces." I said, "Well, if you need to pay me back in pieces, then you don't need the pants." So it's going back to what you're saying about the whole what you make and what you spend. People are not really prioritizing the importance of money and what it should be spent on.
Right. Why do we value certain things above others? Like, why is $1,000 pants have a value? What does that mean that you wear $1,000 pants? Like, I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around.
Right, but I mean, people want to become hip. They want to be fashionable. I understand that. We make things hip. We make things fashionable. But you don't have to break your pockets to be in fashionable or being hip. You know what I'm saying? Because we can make things cool without having to spend a whole bunch of money. You get what I'm trying to say? But what makes things valuable is people. People make things valuable. We say that it's hot. We say that it's in trend. So it's a collective agreement upon something that makes it cool. But we can collectively agree that being smart about your money is cool.
So I just gotta open this up because it's kind of funny and it's kind of confusing at the same time. What does $1,000 pair of jeans do that a $50 pair of jeans can't do? Like, I'm trying to
nothing.
It does something.
What is
it does. It depends on what generation you're speaking about, right? So for the Gen Zs, it's all about high-end fashion, right? It's about being cool, right? So if you have a Mary's or if you have a Nike Tech, right, you kind of consider getting a little money.
Consider that so people see with this and it's like a status symbol?
It is a status symbol.
Okay.
By having these jeans, it's a status symbol for them, right? Even though they still living in the projects, still living in impoverished communities, right? It's still a status symbol of somebody who don't have a Nike Tech or a Mary's on.
So if somebody sees somebody with a Mary's, right? I didn't even know this name of a Mary's. And they can have 2 pieces of lint and a paper clip in their pocket and no money. But they're going to look at them as they're doing better than a person who has on a $50 pair of jeans and $1,000 in their pocket.
Correct.
But that's like what Kanye said. I spend $100 on this just to say you ain't up on this.
Right.
So I mean, of course, you want to be cool to your peers, and you want to be in the know, the hip. You know what I'm saying? So, but don't break yourself or break your pockets for just to try to have one up on your people.
So that's again values and practicality, because like
Be wise with your
people
money.
who know me, I don't like spending money on things I don't see the purpose of it, right? So if I'm gonna spend $1,000 on jeans, they need to do my taxes, and the jeans also have to do investments, and then they have to be bulletproof, and then they have to protect me. When they hit you with the police or somebody hit you with batons or anything, they gotta protect me, and they gotta make decisions for me for $1,000. Like that's my requirement for $1,000 jeans. They gotta charge my cell phone. They gotta do a whole bunch of stuff.
But I think that's just one part of it, right?
Right,
Like you
right.
got some coats that cost $3,000 and $4,000, right?
For a
And-
coat that you wear outside.
Well, being into fashion, making fashion, I understand you could pay for quality, but at the same time, you have to have affordability. If you can't afford that, if you're making, a certain amount of income, and this is going to break your pockets, you're saving up just to do this, just to be in this particular fashion, you're hurting yourself financially.
So are
But
we
it's just talking
are we
about
as a
money.
people doing that? Are we
It goes back to about
we can't afford it, and then we buying stuff for us to look like we got it together?
Yeah.
Right, but this goes back to loving thyself and having self-esteem. So I mean that goes into one of the problems. If you have first know yourself, love thyself, and then you want to look nice, you want to dress nice, you want to dress yourself in great clothes. But I mean, check yourself for a second and ask yourself why you're doing it. Are you doing it to just for a status symbol? Or are you doing it for self? Or are you doing it because there's something internal that's wrong?
I think it could be a combination of all. A lot of people, a lot of people grew up not wealthy, right? So when
Right.
they reach a certain age, they want those things, regardless if it hurts their pockets or not. So you ask like what the average person credit score is in our communities is probably not great, right? Some of that is due to the parents putting phones in their names and small, but others is just
And not paying the bill.
and not paying the bill.
But it's like, again, you can have the latest fresh sneakers, but then your credit score is a 300. You see what I'm trying to say? It's like you can't. You should prioritize what you're spending on and how you're spending, because you can be outside look rich but still be broke.
Right.
And that's the problem. A lot of people want to look rich,
Chasing the Joneses,
but
keeping
they're
up appearances.
not financially sound.
So there's a documentary that's out, old documentary called How to Sell to the Negro.
Right.
And it kind of talks about this kind of stuff, because it says the Negro, using these terms, right?
That's how they use it in
Right.
that
In the
documentary.
And they say they want to be recognized as cultured, and they want to be seen and acknowledged. So you can make a lot of money selling stuff to them, these type of products, because they want to be seen. They want to. So this kind of conversation. So somebody's paying a ridiculous amount of money for sneakers that you're gonna walk on the same dirty ground that somebody who paid little to nothing for flip-flops, right? And you're gonna wear these sneakers on this ground, and the sneakers are gonna get worn out. I mean, you could get them clean, you could make them look nice for a period of time, but they're walking on the same dirty ground, right? So, but for some reason, you wanna have this symbol to say, I'm doing good. I'm making it, so I could afford these. What's the name of them jeans again?
Amiris.
Amiris. I could afford these Amiris.
We ain't giving no free promotion either.
Yeah, we're not giving them free promotion, but this is the conversation. Like, but in actual reality, when you go home and close the door, you don't have no money to get your food, right? But you got these jeans. So I remember growing up, people used to have all these chains, right? They used to rock these chains. So I grew up in the African medallion era, and dudes had to go change, and they was like, yo, and they used to ask me for money. Yo, can I borrow some? I said, yo, sell me a piece of your chain. I'll say that right off the bat. Yo, let's go, sell me a piece of your chain. No, I'm gonna go sell my chain. You walking around with $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, whatever the price of this chain is, and you asking me for money. Maybe purchasing that thing was not the best idea if it took all your spending cash away,
Right.
your liquid capital, your liquid fluid cash. So this is the thing. Like we have we ever had a class or have we ever had a program for Black people about finance?
About money. It's like two things are not really talked at the table between Black families, just like money and sex, right? So I mean, we got to talk about our finances. We got to talk about our relationships because those are the things that are going to make you or break you. So I mean, we have to have those conversations and be wise about those conversations. Money, is going to, this is we're living in a capitalist society. We live in a commerce world. So we got to know what we have, what we have, what we can do, what we can accomplish. I mean, you don't have to have a whole lot. I mean, it's again, it's what you save, it's what you're doing with your money, how you allocating your resources. So Black folks, I mean, we always had put our rubbed our 2 cents together and made it possible for a lot of stuff. I mean, that's how a lot of like hip hop kind of started. So we have the creativity, the innovation to do stuff, but now we have to understand that we are valuable because we bring value to a lot of situations,
Right.
and we have to understand that our value, and now we can quantify it, because we made these corporations and stuff millions, billions of dollars. This is just like this thing with with Kanye and Adidas. It's a $1 billion industry. Before Run DMC hit up their Adidas, you know what I'm saying? Their company was constantly in the red, but now it turned to the black. So we bring billions of dollars into the table.
They had My Filas too. Remember that? They had a song called My Filas because they made it after Adidas. Like we like in hip hop, we created these trends.
We make things
that was
cool.
like Tim's, bucket hats, like
Right.
all of this stuff.
Tommy
that
Hill.
was like this is
We made these Timberlands. We
Right.
made these brands.
Right.
But
But
we made it an urban fashion. We made it to
we didn't own them.
But not only we didn't
them
own
popular.
them, we made them popular to be accepted,
Right.
right? Because we ain't got no ownership to a lot of this stuff.
Right.
But that's
So-
what I'm talking about. Money.
Right.
But
What
money is the
we
key.
are valuable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We generate income
we
for other
bring-
people.
We bring value.
How we generate that income for us though? Like
Right.
That's a whole psychological reshaping.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
It
Because
comes.
not control. We still in the acceptance stage, right? So you got, when you look at these rappers getting treated like crap, going to these stores, even after spending $30,000-$40,000, which is no money to them, right? They still want to be accepted, right?
Right.
Right.
So I think we have to reshape the way we think of wanting to be accepted and create our own.
But that's like what hip hop did. We was like, F y'all, we gonna do our own thing.
Right.
And we created a infrastructure. We created our own little econ, but then it was corporate takeover because they saw the value
Right.
and they took it. It's like, oh, they're doing this, and we can. You get what I'm trying to say?
I
So
came,
we gotta
I
see
came
our
from
own
the
value.
era of that era, right? So that's dating me, but I came from the era. And coming from that era, hip hop didn't care about any corporate anything, right? You
Matter of fact,
said,
it was
I want to
cool
do a
to
jam
have
in
the
the car.
corporate.
Somebody dropped the extension cord out their window,
Mm-hmm.
right? We gonna plug up our stereo system that we got. It wasn't even a sound system; it was a stereo system. We gonna plug up our stereo system. We got our mic. We gonna rock. We don't care. The cops used to be like, "Oh, we can't do it." We had the little clip-on lights
Right.
that you clip on, the little work lights, and you rocked your jam in the park, right? And your rhymes was not really on no tapes. It was you gotta be there. If you wasn't there, you just missed it, right? And then the tapes started coming out, and then the mediums, and then the corporate came, right? So we took clothes we had the Lees, we had all these. We took clothes and we was like, we made them our uniform, right? And because we made them our uniform and we accepted it, then these companies made money and they saw the benefit. But the problem I feel that happened with hip hop was the corporation said we gotta control this thing. And that's what happened, right? That's what happened. But yeah, I think that this conversation about us being able to create because we survivalists. We know how to survive, right? You could put us in a desert with nothing, and we gonna make it into a paradise somehow, right?
Put water into a well.
This is how we go. This is how we built. So we gonna make it work. But other people put us in situations and see what we do, and then they quickly go set up the businesses surrounding that thing that we create.
I agree. But that's why we have to be more conscious of how we spend, how about our money and the business that we create. We have to create businesses that are sustainable, that caters to our people.
And also having side hustles. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a job. Like, so, like, we don't want people to feel like, all right, entrepreneur. There's other side hustles people can do.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Graphic design, real estate, writing, content creators. There's a lot of side hustles people can do to generate wealth because, you know, income is not going to make it in certain cities anymore.
Right.
Inflation it is what it is.
It's inflation, but
It's killing it.
yeah.
It's absorbing all of the income.
Yeah, but it's just it's like different types of income. But we want to have like residual. We want to have like dividends. We want to talk about like investments. We want to talk about growing wealth. You know what I'm saying? So when we're talking about like money, it's like what are you doing with your money? If you spend $1,000 for a pair of jeans, you could spend $500 to open up a trading account. And at least trade some stock so you can have, you know, long-term wealth. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's just where you put your priorities. You got the money. If you're spending $1,000 on jeans and then $500 on a pair of sneakers, that's $1,500 right there.
But that's a great point. But it's going back to education, right? So if young people are not realizing this early, then, you know, if you got $1,000 and somebody say, hey, you can make 2,000 over here, and you really don't know nothing about it, you're not going to invest that $1,000, even though that can be a sure thing because you wasn't educated and exposed early.
Right.
And that's the exposed early got to be, you know, done early. All these millionaires and multimillionaires, they're not really coming back giving financial literacy classes, economic empowerment classes on how to invest the money. When you look at the average basketball player, once he leave the NBA, most be broke. Right? Because
their lifestyle is so expensive.
Not only lifestyle, they wasn't really taught about financial.
Right.
Like or investments. Like it's very few. Like you look at Allen Iverson, you know, he was swindling all his money due to certain personal issues, but a great friend put some money aside for him in investment where he turned 55. He get a certain 20 to 30 million dollars. Like, you know what I'm saying, at 55. And that's, you know, having people around you that have that knowledge is very essential. You know what I'm saying? And it's going back to the exposure. We not really exposed to the stock market, information about stock market. You know, what is added income? What is royalties? Like these things.
Dividends.
It's not talked about. That's why a lot of the old rappers got robbed.
Right.
Because nobody knew about
well,
royalties.
I don't think they even understood contracts, right? It took to that effect. I had a stint in the music industry coming out when I was like 18, right? Went to the DMC competitions, met people, met all the rappers and all of this stuff. And you don't know, you in the middle of being fun and excitement. People don't tell you none of this stuff, right? They don't tell you about, oh, be careful with the contract you sign because it could cost you. They don't really tell you that. And I fell into one of those situations where I wound up signing a contract, and ultimately I didn't make no money, but it really put the brakes on my career, right? It just broke it. And because of the clauses in the contract, and it was a management contract, right? But nobody's talking to us about this finance and all this stuff. During the pandemic, I picked up all of Dr. Claude Anderson's books. So I've heard little things here and there, but during the pandemic, I picked it up. I said, wow, this guy's making a lot of sense. And the reason why I picked it up is because I was a subscriber. I am still a subscriber to Dr. Boyce Watkins. He has 3 PhDs in finance. So I'm listening to this guy talk, and he's like, this is how you make money. He's just saying it. This is how you do this. This is how you do it. Blah, blah, blah. Get out of debt. Debt is the cancer of the financial world. It's cancer to your money, debt. And I'm like, wow, I was in debt too, right? So I was like, oh, wow. So my money, I was making decent money, Like one year I sat up and I looked up how much money I made, and I'm like, damn, I made this much money. Where's it at?
Right.
I was confused because I had all this debt, and I wasn't paying it all off. I was paying a little bit, and of course the debt grows. Compound interest, period.
And interest.
Debt is growing. So I'm like, oh wow. Then I became a person under Primerica. And the first thing is they give you these tools that you talk to everybody else about. I said, well, I'm gonna use these tools on me. See if they work.
Right.
And they worked.
You can't save somebody as a drowning person if you're drowning.
If you're drowning, right? So I would say my credit rating was probably like 640.
Which still ain't bad in the hood.
640 is bad for me, right?
In the hood.
But 640, I owed a lot of money. My credit rating now is like a 755. Because I don't hardly own no credit card debt. I owed like $30,000 in credit card debt.
Mm.
And I thought it was good because I'm like, I got all these credit cards. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And they
You
give
gotta pay when you buy.
that's the same thing they do. Like if you see like in universities, you see like a whole bunch of credit card companies sit at the tables and they'll give you a credit card without explaining you about credit.
That's right.
They don't explain about financial literacy. This is one of the classes are not taught in school.
Right.
You can't unless you specialize. You say I'm going to do in business. I gotta understand this math. I gotta understand this financial literacy. But financial literacy should be taught like in middle school. You know what I'm saying? And I mean it goes down to the basics. You know what I mean? We should have financially sound young people growing up. You know what I'm saying? But people are getting hip to the game. You know what I mean? Because it's not. Again, it's not what you not what you copy, it's what you keep. Now, if you like some of these ball plays, they're making millions of dollars, but then they spend $1 million. They have a Bugatti in their drive yard. They have like a $1 million house. But once those checks stop coming in, how is that stuff going to be maintained?
What's the insurance on them?
What's the insurance? But how is this just maintained? Even with insurance, you got to pay insurance. So I mean, you got to maintain that kind of lifestyle, and those types of lifestyles are not sustainable because you're spending so much. That's only when you have stuff coming in. What happens when that stuff stops?
Right, you get injured, whatever, and you can't get the more money out your contract. They cut you.
How is it maintained? And how can you sustain that wealth?
Well, I'm trying to. Well, I lost my car. I'm trying to get a car now, and I was going to the auction. A friend of mine sent me a list, and it was so many cars that were repoed during the pandemic, right? And I'm not going to buy a car because what I discovered was most of the cars that if I'd have bought a car had a lien on it. So I still have to negotiate with the dealer, right? Or the company of the car. And I was like, there's so many people that was living beyond their means, right?
Right.
During the pandemic. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people, were doing whatever they was doing, but they couldn't afford to maintain that lifestyle. Like, and it's going back to what you're saying, living beyond your means, basketball player living beyond their means. Like, it is a common occurrence in our community, right? So it's very important and essential that we start having more economic conversations early to help these young people, because if you don't know how to manage money, right?
And guess what? Our parents ain't know.
Yeah.
Right? For the most part. Some people's different, but our parents couldn't even pass this knowledge down. You seen your parents working a job, you seen them working hard. They get retired or whatever,
trying to survive,
and that's not teaching a specific lesson about financial freedom to your children. That's teaching you work hard and then this is what you get.
Get a job.
Right.
But
it's not telling you 100% wrong with that.
There's not nothing wrong with that.
But
you also want to know about is being smart about money.
How does your money make money?
How do you make money without having to be a slave to a job or a corporation?
But I think going back to what you said, I think the parents knew to a certain extent, right?
Right.
They
didn't tell us.
They didn't
verbalize it.
Well, they was going through their own trauma,
right?
But they put things in place, right? Because a lot of parents that did transitions had life insurance. Like when my father passed away, he left me and my brother like over $100,000 in life insurance, right? There's some parents that when they transition, they leave you a house, right? So to the extent of how to build on what you got, that conversation didn't happen.
Right.
You understand what I'm trying to say? But I think it was some economic wealth.
He took measures
That
to
that
make
was
sure
left.
that upon his passing, you're not left with a bill. See,
Exactly.
My parents was the opposite.
Well, the sad part is, even when I got my portion of the money, within 5 years, I was broke again. Right? Because there was nobody to speak to me about how to invest this.
Right.
Like create a portfolio of investments. Like, and it, I had to grind it out. So just imagine of having, a substantial amount of money at a young age and not knowing what to do or what to invest in.
And you squander it.
And you squander it away.
That's the thing about it. It's not, like I said, it's not what you cop, it's what you keep. It's how you take your money and you allocate it that will last. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to just have $100,000 and spend $100,000. That's just like insanity, unless you're going to have another means to get that $100,000. So it's like, inflation, it rises. So that $100,000 that you got a couple of years ago, it's not going to be worth the same amount. Right. So I mean, it's how you invest and how you move.
But like
you
said,
with your money,
it's not what you cop, it's what you keep. So you getting 100,000. You cut your expenses with your outlay, with your expenditures. But then the money that you get, because I talked about this with my students. You're not going to just put it in a bank. That money got to make money for you. So you invest. You find ways to invest. There's tons of investments. There's gold. There's all these different things. There's stock market. There's index funds. There's all these things.
You want to get assets.
So you have to take that money that you're not spending and not just put it under the mattress per se.
Right.
But you got to have that money make money for you to a point where you don't have to go to punch a clock to make the money.
Right.
Your collective cumulative money has been building. And that's now making money. That is your income now. That's the challenge. So I'm going through that myself right now. That's what I'm actually working through.
Right.
And it's not easy. It's not 100% easy, especially when you're my age. You're starting late, right? You're starting late. But if you're 25, you'll be a millionaire by the time you get 60s, like early 60s.
It could be early.
Earlier than that.
If with the right investments,
right?
And the right understanding about finance.
Right.
Financial literacy.
So I'm old school. I'm like, I gotta go work and bust my knuckles up to get this money. And I have to break out of that mind state of having to work and exchange my time for money. I'm breaking out of that mind state, but it's not easy because my whole life, this is how I've always operated. And like you were saying, like not just for the sports people, but you have this lifestyle. I went through that, not for sports. I went through it through being I had a civil service job, right? And I had a certain lifestyle and I was doing well at the job, and then I got hurt, and then that salary stopped. Like, changed my whole world. You understand? I'm making a certain amount of money. I had credit cards with $10,000 limits back 20-something years ago. And I'm like, yo, I'm doing good, boom, blah, blah, blah. And then boom, I got hurt.
Yeah, what happens when that
income tanked?
Right.
Because workers' comp don't take care of you. Trust me on that. Income tank, and then I'm like, yo, I'm taking money off my credit cards now. And then my bill get ridiculously huge, and then I had to dig myself out of that.
Because you still owe the balance. And that's
what
people don't understand about credit cards. Like,
that's what
you
they
still
do.
owe penalties and interest is what you're paying.
When you max out your credit card, $10,000, and they see that you max out your card, they raise the interest rate and charge you late fees. By the time I paid that card off, I paid off $20,000. Right? And then you see this now, like during the pandemic, credit card interest rates went up. They didn't reduce, they went up. So it's so funny how it's like an inverse relationship. Now that my cards is paid off, just about, they increased my credit limits.
Oh, yeah. We want you back.
They increased the credit limits.
Come on back.
But when my cards was maxed out, they raised the interest rates.
To keep you in debt.
So it's taking your money. It's like you said, it's not what you cop, it's what you keep. Think about it. You come home with $10,000 in 1 month, and you have all these bottom feeders that come out that want to siphon off that $10,000. So this is how I see finance now. There's this opposition to me holding on to my money. But they don't come as opposition, they come as products. And they come with a nice smile on their face. And they say, listen, you don't got to pay for this for 6 months.
Right.
Just get it now. and you don't got to pay for it. And they give you this deal that you can't refuse, even if you don't need the thing, right? And that's one of the things I see. So like, okay, I'm trying to hold on to the 10,000, but this is a nice thing I could get, and it's only $1,000. You know what I'm saying?
But
now you got 9,000.
Yeah, they try to get you with instant gratification. But you have to have delayed gratification.
Yeah.
When you talk about your finances.
So it's discipline. It's a level. You got to develop a discipline, financial discipline.
Right.
Get your financial judo on. Whatever financial,
you got to.
financial arts.
You're going to have to, because you look at the student loans, right? People paying back that 20, 30 years, still paying back that loan from school.
But the student loan thing, I think, is a problem with this country, because you have other places that have free education and their society is much better. You have like if like Bernie, for instance, Bernie he had a plan. He had an economic plan, and so did Warren,
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren. So I mean, we got to talk about economics, and especially like in our communities and also in the greater society, economics plays a lot of roles and issues, and a lot of problems could be solved with some economic issues or some economic solutions.
Right.
Because if you're scrambling, just to a lot of stuff could be, not saying everything could be solved, but some of these social issues happen because of lack of financial literacy and lack of finances, and lack of resources. So I mean, people come from a mindset of scarcity. So it's like, give me, grab, I gotta get, and when they get something, like, oh yo, I got it, I got it. But it's not maturity and a learned behavior of when you're dealing with money and finances.
It's also emotional spending.
Oh yeah.
Well, but money, you have an emotional attachment, because if you ever day traded, or if you ever traded, and if you're trading something, you understand that if you ever gambled, well, gambling is really bad. But if you ever gambled, it's an emotional high. When you win money, or if you lose it, you're like, you have an emotional attachment with money.
But the come down gotta be real when you see them bills every month. Like it's going back to the car situation, man. I spoke to a dealer. He said the average person in New York is spending over $1,100, like between a car note and insurance.
Oh wow.
Like because the insurance rate in New York is crazy. So plus they got the death ring, but the car market now is 30% over the car value price. So, a $12,000 car might be $20,000. Like, and people are paying these car notes. Like, you know what I'm saying? $400, $500. And they're not even making this type of money to really sustain that, right?
Right.
And this is going back to what I'm saying about the repo, because after a couple of years of that, eventually you're just going to say, yo, let's take it, and we'll work out what we need to work out.
Yeah, but you got to think about the finances. Who's making money off of this stuff?
Well, they are,
the repo people.
The repo people. I mean, but most of these car dealers, they usually, they have their cars on consignment from the banks. So they write it. They don't really own the car, so they have like a bank lender to get you the car. So I mean, the banks are behind a lot of stuff. So I mean, you got to talk about the finances and how things are run in this so-called capitalist society.
You just made me think of something. Killer Priest had a line that said, "A stomp rappers that smile like a car dealer." I never forgot that. He said, faces like Godzilla. I stomp rappers that smile like a car dealer. So it just made me think of that. So you get into this situation, you get a car,
they're trying to sell you something.
Car. Yeah. Their whole goal is to sell you the car, right? Yeah. And as soon as you drive the car off the lot, it lose value.
What's it?
Soon as the car come off the lot.
Just say the same thing for some houses too now, man. Like
houses are overpriced.
Yeah, houses are definitely overpriced. But the housing market, and you're talking about a lot of people, like especially in our community, we had things of like redlining. We couldn't get loans for certain neighborhoods, and we weren't allowed to go into certain neighborhoods because it was discrimination and all these things, and kept us away from some type of finances and economic growth. So I mean, to combat all that stuff and to get around it, we created our own stuff. We had the Black Wall Street, we had this, and we got to get back into that kind of mindset.
Yeah. Well, we got to get a new Black Wall Street.
Yeah. With the new generation.
Yeah, definitely with the new generation. Right, I think we're trying to use old tactics for a new game.
Right.
Like and it's not working.
You got to update your game.
Most Def, Yassine Bey said it's just a better built bird trap, right?
Right.
That's real talk. So now the stuff that I went through has been version 6.0 now, right? They perfected the mousetrap. They perfected the bird cage, right? So now the younger generation got extra stressed because they all trying to get things. So like we said, okay, having a job is not a problem. A lot of young people are unemployed, right? They can't get these jobs. They don't qualify for some reason for these jobs. So now their survival creativity got to kick in another way, right? And what are they doing?
Well, I'm gonna play devil advocate.
Mm.
Young people got smarter about the job,
Mm.
right? When I speak to certain young people, they say, "Hey, I'm gonna get 2 part-time jobs.
Mm.
That's just gonna make just as much as you with the full-time job,
Mm.
and I'm gonna be able to get health insurance." Right? So they're learning how to play the game because they're looking at their parents and their peers, who's going to huge debt. Like owing $40,000 at 25 is crazy.
Mm.
Like coming out of college. Like that's just crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when you look at it, right, after taxes, your 401k, your health, you probably ain't coming home with that much.
No.
So that young person that got the 2 part-time job is making just as much as a person with a full-time job.
Mm.
And that's the approach that they're going with it. And this is why the elders and the young people need to work together for we can create a formula to make it work for everybody.
So how does it work though? When we talking specifically about jobs, I got a theory. And the way I think it works is when you have multi-generational families in the same space. Because rent absorbs a lot of your money,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, but some people, because I know a lot of people was like, yo, I'm 18, I want to be out on my own, and now you got to pay for another household. Parents are paying for their household. That's 2 households being paid for.
Mm-hmm. But that's another thing about housing, and especially with our community, because the rate of home ownership has risen, but not within Black families.
Right.
So the problem again, is about teaching about what's the benefits, and this is how a lot of so-called Americans have gained wealth is by having property and owning something, and so they can pass it on, and they use their house as leverage and all the stuff to get loans or to refinance and all these other things. So they use it as an economic strategy, and we need to be taught and learn this game about owning stuff, and so you can have generational wealth when you build.
What's the reason that you would say that a lot of Black people don't have this? Like, what's the opposition to us?
Well, it's an attack on Black families, first of all, right? So if you single, you can get a house, but believe me, you're just working, right? There's no support. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, high blood pressure, diabetes. You're going to burn yourself out, right? So the attack on Black family is the reason why there's not enough house being purchased, because a house is for a family. It's not really meant for a single person.
Right.
You understand? A house is a family tool to generational wealth and to build an extension of the people that live in that house. Since the attack on Black families, you have more single people, right? That don't feel like, and then they created the whole gender war. Black man, Black woman. So now we can't even get along, right? To create a family. And then you add on all the other isms to demasculation of the Black man. You understand? The war is already started to break down a Black family, and they're doing a good job because it's going back to the numbers that you said. We are the least.
Yeah.
Like,
But in an economic sense, it's like for property and ownership, you can have something, but you just don't want to be stuck in like just paying like a mortgage and stuff. Like you have to think of it as an investment for something else, or a means of gaining something to get something more.
No,
I'm going through a challenge right now. Because I was trying to get a house, right? So I
Right.
told you before this, and the qualification process. I mean, they go through everything, right? This is the bank doing it, but they say, "Oh, we're gonna offer you X amount of dollars, and then they hike the interest rate up.
Mhm.
Now, I told you my credit's pretty good. Hike the interest rate up. Now, the new offers that came after that, higher interest rate. Oh, well, you got to get a lesser value of a house. You got to kind of, this is the conversation. Oh, we're going to show you houses in Westchester now. Like,
Different tax bracket.
I was away from the city.
Right.
And I'm saying, like, yo, there's no train that go out there. Like, how my wife gonna get to work, right? But these conversations, but then the most disturbing thing, so with all of this in play, JP Morgan Chase buys $1 billion worth of homes and then renting them out. So now you just took homes off the market,
Well, we're talking
which
about,
drives the price of homes up.
we're talking about finance again. So
Yeah.
they see a market. Again, once if you're growing outside of the urban environment, it's a different lifestyle, but it's also a different cost of living. It's a different tax bracket because it's certain amenities are not necessarily in the inner cities. A lot of people, a lot of our folks go into the cities and stay in these neighborhoods because of the convenience of public transportation, because of the stores right there, because everything is centralized in one community. But if you go out to the suburbs or whatever, you might have to drive to. You have to have a car for one because you have to drive to the supermarket. The public transportation doesn't run as frequent. There's different amenities that you're gonna have to try to deal with.
Well, that's one of
This
the
this is
reasons.
talking about the money.
Right.
What is the money coming in, and how much you're spending for all these different types of resources.
Well, that's one of the reasons for gentrification, right? Because they realize, like, the average house now, if you get a house now, is a 30-year mortgage, right? That's like the average going thing. So as you get older, your salary might don't double, but the value of the house stays the same.
Or even if it goes up.
Mortgage is worth.
When you look at the house thing, the depreciation of houses decrease. You know what I'm saying? But they still was paying the same old value, even though it depreciated.
I can tell you this how mortgages work because they broke it down to me, and this is not my first rodeo on getting qualified for a house. When they tell you, let's say for instance, we're gonna use round numbers. The house is $100,000. Just gonna use a round number so you can wrap your brain around it. Depending on the type of mortgage you get and the interest rate, by the time you pay for the house after 30 years, you may have paid $300,000 or $400,000.
You're doubling
The value of the house.
house.
It's still $100,000 because the interest.
This rate.
So when you're making your mortgage payments, the first part of your payments is going first maybe 15 years or whatever is going to your interest payment. That's the loan company who put the money up, right? You're paying them off first, and then you pay into the equity of the homes
Right.
when you pay off the lender.
So, see,
So
this
I went to Abyssinian Development's
This is how they
home
make
buyers program.
is how they make their money. So
Yeah.
but me thinking about economics and thinking about cooperative economics and community economics is like I know builders. You know what I'm saying? I know the cost of what it takes to get it built.
Right.
If you have you get a loan and you build your house and without taking out a mortgage and you can completely buy the house straight out right, you don't got no mortgage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You may have to pay taxes or whatever stuff
property tax.
on it.
Right.
But you're not paying a mortgage. You're not doubling your.
So that's buying the land,
Mhm.
and then you get a loan to build the house.
Right.
So that happened to a friend of mine. They didn't buy the land. They was left the land when their parent passed away. They're identical twins.
Okay.
So 12 acres. One gets 6 and her sister gets 6, right? They said it cost them $50,000 to build the house
Mhm.
and $5,000 to dig the well. And it was a beautiful house.
55,000. Yeah.
$50,000. I mean, it was wood,
Right.
but so that made me understand. So me doing my house hunting, I'm looking up. It's got me doing all this stuff on just looking up real estate. In the United States, the average price of a home in the U.S. is around $430,000.
Right.
There's nothing in New York City for $430,000.
You're paying rent for about.
You paying about $700,000 for a brownstone, $1 million for a brownstone in Harlem.
Yeah,
right. So the Westchester houses that they showing us, they cap off at around $500,000 because that's what we told them we wanted to spend. But I I personally have a problem with spending that kind of
That kind of money.
on brick and mortar or wood and sheetrock.
But this is not only just happening in our area in New York City. This is happening all over the country. We have different hoods. You have redlining just didn't happen in one neighborhood. It happened to all so-called ghettos across the board. You know what I mean? This is happening from the federal to the state and the city level, and with black people. So I mean, you can go to Baltimore, you can go to Philadelphia, you can go to Chicago, you can go to Atlanta. People, I seem like black people kind of move a little different there. But I'm just saying, when people pull their resources together and make something happen, you know what I mean? It's just a decision that we got to do.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Pulling resources because of this trust issue.
The trust issue, but this is why we
who gonna hold the money?
Yeah, who holding the money? You know,
What's he gonna do with that guy did from FTX?
That's the
money.
This is why we gotta have transparency.
Well, that's
what I'm saying.
People
We gotta have
separate from church to state. So it's
most definitely. But you gotta have transparency. You gotta one is still gonna be one. You know what I mean? And you gotta have everything accountable. Right. Once you have that trust and that accountability and transparency, then you can build. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta come correct. You know what I mean? To build, because people have been hurt, financially hurt. People have been swindled out of money. People have been scammed out of money. People have mismanagement out of money. So
well, you can see that with some of the other countries, the black diaspora countries,
right.
like where's 90-80% of predominantly that culture, and the corruption there is rampant.
But you got to
they don't even control the economic interest. No, it's controlled by.
They don't control the economic interest.
It's controlled by
people
who don't look like this.
But it's going back to the corruption.
Right.
A lot of places been colonized.
Right.
So, and through that colonization, it's been chaos and disruption, mismanagement, because they wanted the resources.
I'm going to say
that's the whole idea.
This is going to bring us some controversy. But talking in this conversation, we saying about the corruption. I'm going to say in there. I'm going to throw a little extra to there. It says to say that Adam has been corrupted and co-opted. So I'm gonna say that. Now just keep doing. And people who know what I'm saying, you can hit me up in the conversations. Adam has been corrupted and co-opted. Who did it? I ain't gonna say no names. Y'all put it in the comments. I gotta put something in there that's gonna make you do some homework. But go ahead, let's go.
Yeah, but still, the people are getting hip to the game. Not only here, but throughout the diaspora. Then understand that a lot of people have been mismanaged, a lot of generations, that they keep people in bondage, economic bondage, but forget about the upward progress. So I mean, young people, some people are getting hip to the game. It's like, nah, we trying to correct this. This is the problems that we have. So we got to correct these problems. We know what the issues are, but here's some of the solutions.
Well,
so let's get to the solutions. That's you just said.
One thing I'm gonna say is solution. We need our reparations, and I'm just gonna say that. And to people that's not, sad to say, people that's not from the country or born in the country, you really don't have a voice on people from the land about reparations. It's not too old. It's not too late. Stop saying we're not going to get our money. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to assist with the movement, then stop attacking us about asking for reparation, because other cultures have got theirs.
Support HR 40. Right. We support it, and we would help everybody else who supports.
Now, aside from that conversation, we all in agreement on that, right?
Right. But
aside from that conversation,
we still got to get our own.
Right now, when the people who are opposing us, who could actually pay this reparations, when the media comes and knocks them upside their head and they wake up and say, "Oh, we was wrong. We should give him reparations." Until that happens, what do we do? What are we doing?
We still got to do for self. Like I said, we have to use cooperative economics. We got to be smart with our money, smart with our finance, smart with our resources, because we are valuable. And we got to hold our value and amongst ourselves and prosper from it. You get what I'm trying to say? Because nobody else is going to do it, because everybody else does it for us. They just see, oh, you doing this? Oh, we can take that, and we'll see it in Japan. We'll see it in Israel. We'll see it in Uzbekistan, or we'll see it in Germany. But it's like, yo, we created this,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So we gotta prosper and hold it valuable as well.
Could we do like 5 steps?
Well, I said 1 steps to all the people that's from financial institutions. Go volunteer at your local community center or your local schools and do a workshop or a series of workshops
And those
on
people,
economics.
and those people who are looking to get educated on economics, go to your local credit union, go to your local bank, go to the local financial institutions, because they usually have free classes on economics, on finance.
I want to say that Primerica does that for free as well.
Okay.
So if you want to learn about it, I learned all the stuff I learned almost from Primerica and Dr. Boyce. Those are the two people I learned from.
Right.
Right? And they was all free. So you could learn that. So that's step one. Get some financial education. Get people who are financially savvy to volunteer their time. What's step two?
Parents got to be parents and teach their kids about financial.
But they got to learn first.
Yeah.
Well, they can learn together.
So there you go. Step two. Step three, get out of debt.
Get out of debt.
That means pay your bills.
Your
That
bills,
means
your debt to
what's
income
some
ratio.
Marys.
those are Marys that you took a credit loan out to get. You gotta pay them suckers off.
And-
That means you gotta be disciplined and not buy a second pair of Marys, right? You gotta pay that off and pay off your debts. That's three. Get out of debt.
Get out of debt.
Step
Stay out
four.
of debt.
Step four.
Get wealth. Get into, once you're in the black, stay in the black, and try to find ways to keep yourself.
What you it's not what you keep.
Cop-
Cop is what you keep. That's four.
Well,
That's
also acquire skill. That's
key.
the lost thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you got to steal plumbing, electricity, masonry, you can work, but you can have a side hustle. So
Right.
it's additional income.
Everybody
that you
can't do
have.
everything, but everybody
That could be
can do
number
something.
five.
Right.
Because the thing that is so funny that's what I did my whole life without thinking about it. Right? I went to maintenance training programs. I went to HUD renovation school. I went to boiler mechanic training. I did all of this stuff to get a skill, computer repair. So when I need to tap into that as a side thing, I could do it.
That's right.
Right? And this is just how I was trained. But a trade, a skill, a trade, plumbing, carpentry, electrical, all of that's going to get you money. Now, what you gotta, it's not what you cop, it's what you keep. But all of this gets you money. So you need skills to make money, even if it's just investing. You gotta learn the skill of investing in order to make money at it. So it's not something that you just roll out of your bed and wipe the drool off your face and now you just made money, right? It's a system.
set.
Everything is a system.
Right.
Learn the system.
Right.
And then if you learn the system, you won't have to be breaking your back like everybody else, because a lot of people breaking their back,
Yeah.
right? Or stuck on a job that you don't care about because you want the healthcare, because now you could start your own business and have healthcare for your business.
Right.
And employ other people and create jobs for other people
Create something.
that they love this job. You understand? So I think those are good 5 steps though.
Yeah, definitely great 5 steps, man. And when you wake up in the morning, have a purpose, man. That's the final thing. You got to have a purpose.
What gets you out of your bed? I asked my children that recently. I'm like, what motivates you to do what you need to do to succeed? What is the reason why you getting out of bed? What is your joy? What is that thing you look forward to? And if you can always tap into that, you can use that to get you through things you don't enjoy. Because I was explaining to him in the college situation. You're going to take college courses. There's going to be courses you're not going to like, but they're required.
Right.
What makes you give it your best effort is doing that, or do a half-ass job, right? What makes you show up to class when you don't really want to be there, as opposed to cutting the class and staying in the bed because you don't like this class? You have to tap into that.
Yeah.
Well, is it a thing, obstacle that I need to overcome so I could get to the thing I want to do? Yeah, probably.
It's just a thing. Yeah. It's just like sometimes people don't want to do everything. If people don't want to do, some people are suck at finances. Some people just don't want to do their finances. They like it, but it's tedious, it's boring. But it's something that you have to do. You get what I'm trying to say? Because we live in a commerce world. I mean, things are easier now. We have these technical devices that you can just do stuff on your phone. So you can look at, your credit score. You can look at your finance, your income versus what's going out. You can budget yourself. You can put a financial plan together, on the comforts of your smartphone. So it's nowadays it's like there's no excuse. It's like you gotta know, you gotta know where your money's going, how is it going, and who's it going to?
Yeah, cool. All right, so I think we gave you some 5 good pointers that you could kind of start with, which is great. Y'all got any shout outs? Anybody y'all want to say what's up to?
Well, we saying shout outs to all those fathers, those brothers, those uncles that try to keep their family together, and those aunts and sisters and mothers also who are just trying to keep it together. But we can all do it together. If you need help to reach out for some financial literacy, you can always, like I said, give us a call or get to your financial institution in your community. If there's not one, create one.
Also to all the Black entrepreneurs that's out there grinding, like, keep doing what you're doing. We're looking for actors, so we're gonna put the casting breakdown up. Inbox us, let us know. Keep grinding.
Yeah, and I want to say all the businesses, right? All the small businesses,
Yeah.
communities. We're gonna start making our rounds to you to see if we could offer some either videography services or something to help you kind of blow up your business. Maybe you could come in here and interview with us, right? Talk about what you do. I think we need to do that more. And it's not a money thing, right?
Exactly.
This is a kind of like a public service thing where we are all trying to show that we could get together and do something, right? Collectively and kind of support each other.
Right, and it help the economic growth or the growth of us all, because we ain't gonna get there if we don't get it there together.
And use this platform like to advertise your small business, like to get it out there. Because that's essential marketing, promotion, and we gotta network with each other.
I want to say, I want to give a big ups to Killer Priest, right? I haven't heard from him. Walter Reed. I haven't heard from him in a little bit, but I'm sure he's doing things out there. Yassine Bey. I quoted two of his lyrics, right? Most Def. Math Hoffa, right? I just recently had a great conversation with him. I'll talk about that on another show. And I think that we just need to make the decision to grow together and move forward together,
Right.
rather than be little splintered off and not supporting. We should support each
other. And I just definitely want to give a shout out to all the pioneers who got us here, and the generation that takes it a little bit further. But we got to connect together and move together. So I mean, because if we ain't all together, then nobody's really going to function properly, because it takes a village. And we are that village.
Big ups to the young generation, even though I don't think they get some credit that they should deserve.
Right.
Because you know what? They're going to be the future leaders, and some of them already are our future leaders, right?
Got it.
They're going to fight our fights when we old and we can't fight, right? We got to actually look to them to help us. So we need to get that support to them
And
too.
pass the baton.
Right?
Okay.
We need to get that support to them.
Pass
we need
the
to help
baton.
build up their structures and
Right.
help build up their businesses and support them.
And that's how
Right.
it keeps it going.
So this is the cycle of life, right? This is standing on a rock with the little baby, right? The little baby lion cub, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta keep that going. And it's like you're not gonna get hatred from us, the younger generation. So feel free to comment. If you got a business that you want to big up and have it spread and talked about and come again for interview, you are more than welcome. I have young children, right? So I have children in the age range that our young generation is in. I'm always open to see how I could assist y'all in getting somewhere. And we all are like that. We all work with youth. So this is After Elemental.
This is D Chorus.
This is Mugdi.
Peace.
This
Through
is
Our
Through Our
Lens.
Lens.